Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new video here on the second channel, and the remaining cards in the next set, Black Bolt and White Flare, were just revealed. So I'm really excited to look at these new cards here. We got some new EX reveals, new support reveals, some other new cards. We got another Hydreigon EX revealed, which I'm really excited to look at. So pretty cool stuff, and I'm going to react to all these new cards and see what they all do and which ones will be the most impactful. I think there's a few reprints in here, too, if I am not mistaken. If y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Let me know what you think of these new cards down in the comment section also, and I'll leave a link to Pokebeach if you want to go check out what these cards do. So we'll start off here with the Black Bolt card translations. We have seen the Superior already. There's a new Simi-Sage, but most of the time they're not very good. This one's no different. We do have this new Lilligant here. It's got the attack Behemium Aura that does 30 damage. If you flip a coin, if heads, your opponent's active is now paralyzed and poisoned. But if tails, they're confused. Not a bad little attack, but doesn't really do enough damage to probably warrant seeing play. This new Maractus here, Lively Needle, 20 damage. If this Pokemon got healed, you do 100 more damage. So if you can find a way to heal the Maractus, there you go. You can do 1 for 120. Probably not anything too crazy, though. But we do have this new Carablast here, which has an ability, Exciting Evolution. If you have any Shelmet in play, this Pokemon can evolve during the first turn or during the turn it was played. Now, that's cool. So we'll have to take a look at what the Excavalier does when we get there. We do have this new Amoonguss here, but I think we've already reacted to that. That one got revealed. Victini got revealed. New Darmanitan here. Obviously not as good as the N-Star Manitan we have in the format. Doesn't do anything too crazy. We have already looked at the Chandelure 2. We do have a new Volcarona here with Heat Wave Scales. Once you're in turn, you may discard a basic Fire Energy from your hand in order to leave your opponent's active Pokemon burn. Now, I'm pretty sure the old Volcarona from the Black and White era made Burn take 4 damage, but we already have Magmortar in the format, so they probably didn't want to give us another Burn damage modifier, so they gave us instead the ability here to burn a Pokemon by discarding energy. I mean, that's not terrible. Volcanian is already in the format, which is maybe a better way to burn your opponent, though it is a 2-prize basic Pokemon. That is a bit more of a liability. Volcarona needs to discard a Fire Energy. This could be decent with Magmortar, though then you're playing multiple Stage 1 Pokemon, but yeah, I mean, not terrible. Again, with Magmortar in the format, there is some synergy there between the Volcarona and the Magmortar. New Simipour, pretty bad, but one cool thing is we are getting a Round back in the format, so it's got the attack on the Timple, the Palpitoad, and the Seismitoad here. You got Round, it does 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play with the Round attack. Then you have the Palpitoad that does 40 damage for each of your Pokemon in play with Round, so you can see it keeps increasing in damage. And then you have the Seismitoad here, which for 3 energy does 70 damage for each of your Pokemon in play with Round. Now, I can't remember if there's any other Pokemon with Round in the standard format right now, other than the Seismitoad line, and I don't know if we're getting any more Rounders in the set. I haven't done that much digging yet. We'll have to see. But for now, I mean, it just works with the entire line of Seismitoads. I mean, in total, you're doing 280 damage if everything is on the board. You could have 1 Seismitoad, 3 Timples in play, and you could do 280 damage for 3 energy. This could work with the new triple energy we are going to be getting in this set, or you could play it with reversal, which is kind of nice. Obviously, we've seen the Tier 2 which isn't translated properly here, but it is the Trash Lance one. But again, we've already looked at that. Another interesting new card here is the Alomola. Now, Alomola is a pretty bad Pokemon, but this card actually has potential. It's got the ability Gentle Fins. Once you're in turn, this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may put a basic Pokemon with 7 HP or less from your discard pile onto your bench. That's a pretty strong ability. That's free Pokemon recovery, which is kind of nuts. I mean, considering there's cards like Rod and Night Stretcher in the format, this ability is very, very useful. Being able to recover a Pokemon like that is really good. Now, obviously, this has to be in the active spot, but we do have the ability to play with Rescue Board or Air Balloon, which are both going to be in the format, so not a bad ability. There's a lot of useful things you can do with this. I mean, recovering little guys like your Charmanders, your Dreepies. You can recover Duskulls with this, which is one thing I've seen a few people talk about. So, yeah, for once, we got a good Alomola. This card could be powerful. That's a really strong ability. Recovering Pokemon like that is pretty nuts, not gonna lie. Could be good in like a deck that wants to chain basics, like even in the Seismitoad deck, right? So there you go. We do have a new Beartic here with Continuous Headbutt and Sheer Cold. So, okay, nothing too crazy. I don't know. I want a good Beartic card. Beartic's a cool Pokemon, but we haven't really gotten a good Beartic card in a while. New Cragganal here doesn't do anything too crazy. We've already looked at Kyurem EX. We have this Amogga here, which is kind of a reprint of the old Amogga with Call for Family, search check for 2 basic Pokemon, and put them on your bench. I mean, the attacks are good, but they never really see a lot of play. But this Amogga, you know, I think the old Amogga we had with Call for Family way back in the black and white era was playable. But yeah, the meta's a lot different now. We've already seen the Electric reprint and the Electros and stuff. Thundurus we've already looked at, I think. Zekrom, obviously, we've seen. Musharna here has the attack Dream Call. Search check for any number of Fennel, reveal them, and put them into your hand. That's interesting. Then you have Sleep Pulse, it does 50 damage. Flip a coin of heads, they're now asleep. Pretty mid. I mean, 50 for 1 energy is like kind of mediocre. We have seen the Reuniclus already in the last video. There's a new Behemium here with the attack Psychic. Does 80 damage, plus 30 more damage, reach energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. I mean, it's fine. We have seen Pokemon do this before, but I don't think this Behemium is anything too crazy. I mean, there are some Pokemon, like Iron Hands, which will have like 4 energy on them, but I think overall it's like pretty mediocre. Not really anything too crazy to write home about. Unfortunately, a new Golurk here that doesn't really do anything too crazy either. But what is crazy is this new Mealoetta EX here. Now, it does have an ability, Live Debut. If you go first, this Pokemon can attack on your first turn. Obviously, this is really good in Donk. And then it's got the attack Echoed Voice for 1 Psychic. Does 30 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Echoed Voice attack does 80 more damage. Now, I've seen a few people talk about Mealoetta. Obviously, you can Donk your opponent with it. You can use Echoed Voice 1 for 30, and you can maybe increase damage with Poison and stuff. The other thing, too, is you could use Mealoetta with TM Evolution, which is a very interesting concept. So the ability makes it so that it can attack on the first turn. It's not the actual attack itself, which we've seen before on cards like Latios and Pheromosa. So this is an interesting card because, like I said, you can use turn 1 TM Evo going first if you draw into it with the Mealoetta. So you can evolve your stuff immediately with Live Debut. So that's a really interesting effect. Now, it is a basic EX Pokemon with 200 HP, so it's a little squishy, but I mean, the effect of doing that does sound kind of decent in my opinion, so not a bad card. We'll have to see if Mealoetta can see any play at all, because it's an interesting ability to take advantage of. We have another new EX here. We got the Excadrill EX with the attack Penetrating Drill for 2 Fighting Energy. It does 60 damage. The attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with any damage on it. And then you have Rock Tumble that does 200 damage and not affected by resistance. Unfortunately, kind of a mediocre Excadrill. The first attack is probably better in more situations than the second attack, but the first attack is unfortunately negated by Shaman, and most decks are playing Shaman, so I think Excadrill, unfortunately, is just kind of mediocre. Yeah, just if Shaman didn't exist, maybe it'd be okay. And we are getting more fighting support with Mega Lucario, but I don't think that'll be enough to, like, save the Excadrill. So, unfortunately, Excadrill EX isn't anything crazy. Again, if Shaman didn't exist, the first attack actually could be kind of decent, though, with, like, Halucha and stuff. This new Conqueror here is very similar to the old Conqueror we had from, what was it, Noble Victory. It's got the attack, or the ability Craftsmanship. This Pokemon gets plus 40 HP for each fighting energy on it, and then you got the attack Swing Around that does 100 damage. You flip 2 coins, it does 50 damage for each heads. There's a lot of energy, but the important thing about this card is being able to load it with fighting energy. You could play this with, like, Garchomp EX, the Terra one, so you can build it up, get some fight energy on your Conqueror, and make it have a ton of HP. This thing can have over, like, 200 HP very easily. The old Conqueror from back in the day did, like, the exact same thing with the ability, and then it had a similar attack. So it's cool that they kind of re-brought that Conqueror back. I think this is obviously worse than the other Conqueror we have in the format, but you know what? It's cool anyways, and the ability's always been fun to mess around with. We got a new Throw here. Doesn't do anything super crazy, though. We do have a new Crustle. Not maybe as good as the Crustle we already have, but this one actually isn't bad either. It is very similar to the old Crustle we had also from Boundaries Cross. It has that Sturdy ability. If this Pokemon has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack, it is not KO'd, and instead, its HP is 10 instead, and then you have Stone Edge that does 80 damage. You flip a coin of heads, does 60 more damage. This card was pretty okay with, like, Reuniclus, but unfortunately, I don't think this card will be that good. The ability is strong, but it doesn't really do enough damage. I think the other Crustle's better. I mean, I guess if you're playing the other Crustle, maybe you could afford to play one of these. It is a fighting type, so if you're looking to hit for fighting weakness, maybe you want to play this Crustle, because you're usually going to get to attack twice with it because of its ability, unless your opponent's playing Monkey Dory or something, which I guess is one way that they can counter the Crustle. So it's a lot worse than the other Crustle we have, but the ability is interesting, and I don't know, if they ever bring back one of those damage swap cards, maybe this could work. Got a new Landress here. Got Venipede, Scolipede line. Is it better than the Scolipede we already have? It's got that Poison Point ability if it's in the active spot. And it's damage by an attack. Even if it's knocked out, your opponent's active is now poisoned. It's like, okay. And then you got Venoshock that is 90 damage. If they're poisoned, you get to do 90 more damage. I mean, 180 for 2 energy, 190 is like, okay. You can stack that damage if you want to play with Biting Mochi and Brute Bonnet. You can play Perilous Jungle to do more damage. I mean, it's fine. I do think probably the other Scolipede is better, the one that can like knock your opponent out with poison, but it is what it is. We have a new Crocodile line here. Crocodile's got the attack Tighten Up, which does 60 damage. Your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand, and then you have Cursed Slug that does 120 damage. If your opponent has 3 or fewer cards in their hand, you do 120 more damage. So the attacks kind of synergize together, right? You do the first attack, and then you do the second attack to hit for 240. It's like fine. I mean, the first attack is actually kind of okay, and combine that with hand disruption cards like Unfair Stamp or Iono in the late game. There could be something to it, but I think it's like overall mid. I mean, I guess you could play this with Xerosic's Machinations and put your opponent down to 1 card in that regard. So maybe there's something you could do with that with like Xerosic or whatnot. But I mean, overall, it's like a perfectly like mediocre card, in my opinion. Hand Disruption isn't really that good right now. We have a new Mandabuzz here. I don't think we've looked at this one yet. I might have missed it earlier, because we got revealed a bit earlier. It's got that Hunt for Prey ability. Once during turn, you may have your opponent reveal their hand, choose a basic Pokemon with 7 HP or less you find there, and then you force it onto their bench. I mean, being able to put Pokemon into play for free is actually good. Not even if you're going to force something down to knock out, but even to put Pokemon into play to do more damage can actually always be a good thing. So, not a bad card at all. The ability definitely could be useful for some Pokemon. Here's the Excavalier. You can do 1 for 90, so you can evolve that Carablast and hit 1 for 90 immediately. I mean, I guess it's like fine, but not really anything too crazy. 90 damage is pretty mid. You got a new Bisharp here with Finishing Blow. Maybe it's the optimal Bisharp to play if you're going to play King Ambit. Does 60 damage. Your opponent already has damage on the active. You do 60 more damage. You can do 120 for 2. So maybe the optimal Bisharp. Didn't get a King Ambit, though, because it's not black and white. We've seen Cobalion. We've seen Genesect EX. We have a new Haxorus line here. So it's got that cross-cut attack for 2 colorless energy. You do 80 damage. If your opponent's active is an evolution Pokemon, you get to do 80 more damage. So you can do 160 for 2 energy, and then you have the attack Axe Bomber, which knocks out your opponent's active basic Pokemon, which is cool and all, depending on what basic it is. You know, Mewtwo EX, 280 HP, not a bad Pokemon to knock out, but I don't know, I'll have to see on that. You could build this up theoretically with Reversal Energy. That's probably like the one way you want to build up your Haxorus. You put Reversal Energy on it, knock something out. It's like fine. You can punish basics and evolutions. You hit evolutions hard or you knock out basics instantly. Kind of cool. We have a new Unfasant line here. We didn't get an Unfasant EX. Keep in mind, we do have a Pidove, which says you can evolve into potentially an Unfasant EX. So we never got an Unfasant EX. But this one's got High Speed Flight for 2 colorless energy. Does 120 damage. You flip a coin of heads. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage and effects of attacks on this Pokemon. So you can kind of be immune. Again, if there's a way to reflip the attack, like reflip the coin, maybe the card would be a little bit better, but it's like fine. It's a bit easier to get into play when you have that other Pidove in the format, but I don't know. There might be better Unfasants. New Audino, got Return. Just 1 for 30, and then you can draw cards and you have 6 in your hand. This could actually be okay versus Budu, just because you can knock a Budu out and then draw a couple cards. Is it better than the Pichu? Maybe. It does have 100 HP, so it is a lot more bulkier than that little Pichu. So, yeah, it's not bad, actually. New Cinccino. This one's got Do the Wave, kind of like the old black and white Cinccino. 1 for 20, does 20 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. It's a little bit more of a nerf Do the Wave, though. Like, it could have done more damage, honestly, in this day and age. I mean, you're only doing 100 damage for 1 energy max, so honestly, nothing crazy to write home about. You could play this with Area 0, obviously, to do a little bit more damage, but I don't know. We'll have to see on that one. All right, those are all the Pokemon in this half, but then we have the items now, including the new Energy Coin item card. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, search your deck for 1 basic energy, attach it to 1 of your Pokemon. That's an interesting item. Now, it's a little bit risky. There are other cards in the format that let you flip 2 coins to do an effect that's strong. Unfortunately, flipping 2 coins and getting double heads is not very easy to do. It's unlikely this card will get a lot of value. You could high roll with it. Like, if you play a couple of these in one turn, it is theoretically possible to flip 2 heads. It's a bit of a gamble, though. Though the effect is powerful enough maybe to warrant people playing it like as a 4 of, but I don't know, I'll have to see. It's an interesting card. I don't think it'll see play, but I don't know. If we're ever in a faster format, maybe this card could have some value. Because surely out of the 4 you play, one of them is going to flip 2 heads. Maybe. Like, the chances aren't that low. I mean, there's a good chance none of them will flip 2 heads, but you know, the chances aren't that low. And when one of them do, it actually could change the entire game itself. So maybe there's potential there. It's a bit of a gamble, though, for sure. All right. We've seen the Fossil Pokegears in the set. Air Balloon, we've already seen. New Ends card. Now, this is not the end we had in the past, but this one does have the effect. Move up the 2 energy from your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. Now, this card is probably just a worse version of Poppy. I think Poppy is overall a better card. It does kind of the same thing where you move energy around from your Pokemon. It is from the bench, so I guess you could play this with, like, a bench energy acceleration card. It's, like, fine, I guess. I don't know. I think Poppy's probably better. Poppy doesn't even see a lot of play anyways. So who's to say ends plot we'll see play? I don't know. It's cool. It might see niche play at some point, but right now I can't really see it catching on too much, but who knows? Maybe in the future. Could be good. Research. And there's Fennel. Heal 40 damage from each of your Pokemon. Honestly, the supporter card is, like, okay, because it actually could be good against Grimmsnarl. Like any spread heavy deck like Grimmsnarl or Dragapult, you actually could see some value in Fennel. And healing 40 damage actually isn't too bad either. It's, like, decent damage to heal. It's not bad. It is a supporter, though, so keep that in mind. I mean, there is an item card, Picnic Basket, which might be better than Fennel, but, I mean, it's like an okay card, right? It's, like, okay. You got Prism Energy, Reprim we've already looked at. But now we can move on to the White Flare half here of the set. Let's get into it here. Scroll all the way down. We do have a new Swaddle and Swadloon and Levani. This one has the ability, once you're in turn, heal 20 from your active Pokemon. Not a terrible ability. There are other healers in the format, like Altaria EX and Alchemy EX, but this one's on a one-prizer. You got the new Levani here with healing a Swaddling heal, or healing Swaddling, sorry. Heal 100 damage from each of your basic Pokemon. Pretty strong heal attack. It is on a stage 2, and then you got X-Scissor that does 90 damage. Flip a coin of heads, do 40 more damage. That first attack isn't too terrible, but who knows? So this card could be good. The Swadloon might be better actually than the Levani, in all honesty. We have a new Whimsicott EX here. Now this one's got 230 HP. It's got 2 attacks. First attack here, you got Wonder Energy Gift. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energies and put them in and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Honestly, a pretty powerful energy acceleration attack. Now, yeah, you are a squishier 2 prize stage 1 Pokemon, but being able to put 3 energy in a play like that isn't too bad either. You can easily power up a lot of Pokemon. Yo, Whimsicott can build up Iron Hands. Just play Joltic at that point. But then you have the attack Wonder Cotton, which does the effect your opponent reveals. Their hand does 50 damage for each trainer you find there. So you do 50 times. Not bad, actually. You could play this with Budu to item lock them and then go into the attack here. Yeah, Whimsicott's okay. I don't hate it. It's not a bad EX card. Both attacks are pretty solid. New Sawsbuck here. Nothing too crazy on that one. Then we got the Shelmet. If you have any care buffs and play this Pokemon, can evolve during the first turn or during the turn it was played. And then the Aselgore here has got the attack Acid Spray. It does 1 grass, 50 damage, flip a coin of heads, discard energy from your opponent's active. I think the other Aselgore is better, the hit and run one. Maybe that's the Aselgore you're going to want to play with the Shelmet. But then you have to have a Carablast in play. I don't know if you're going to want to play Carablast in a hit and run deck. Version we've seen, obviously we've seen Embor, Simi, Sears, and very good. Heatmar, I think we've seen. Reshiram, we've seen the Samurai line here, too. New Basculin here with Barred Fangs. 50 damage for 1 water. If your opponent's active has no damage on it, for doing the attack, this attack does nothing. It's, like, kind of mediocre, right? We got a new Swanna here, which unfortunately isn't good. We do have a Vanelix line, and I'm very happy about this Vanelix. This is similar to the old Vanelix from back in the day. Vanelix is one of my favorite Pokemon. I have a plushie of it here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, right here. Vanelix is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. I love this Pokemon. You can't really see it. There's a bit of a glare. But Vanelix is awesome, and I'm glad we have this Vanelix coming back. This is a very similar one to the old Noble Victories one. It's got that double freeze attack. For water and 2 colorless energy, does 90 damage. You flip 2 coins, does 90 for each heads. If either of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is immediately paralyzed. The old Vanelix did the exact same thing. Now, that Vanelix did exist in an era where we had Victini to reflip the coin, and also Vileplume in the format to item lock your opponent. But it is still a very strong attack regardless. The chances you do paralyze your opponent is pretty high, so definitely not a bad card at all. You can use it with reverse energy too, which I think is going to be the main way to build it up. We've seen Keldeo, Zubstrika here, 100 damage, does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, pretty mediocre. New Joltic and Galvantula, we've seen that. Stunfisk does 1 for 40 if you have fight energy on it, broken. We have a Swoobat here, which unfortunately doesn't, or shuffle one of your bench Pokemon or card statue into your deck. It's like okay, nothing too crazy though. It is a way to heal, but I don't know, like, I feel like healing is just probably better. All right, because then you have to refine the Pokemon. New Sigil here with Telekinesis, does 70 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon mid. New Cofagrigus here. Now, this one does have a similar attack to the Dedenne I did a video on recently. It's got that elongating damage Grigus attack, crazy attack name. Move all damage counters from one of your bench Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So, that can be really strong. Like I said, very similar to Dedenne. This could be playable with tanky Pokemon like Garchomp EX or Metagross EX, right? So, not bad. It is a stage 1, but it is useful. And there's other Cofagriuses in the format. There's the EX, and then there's the other one that does 60 damage for each Pokemon to play with an ability. So, I mean, you got some good Cofagriuses to work with. All three of them could be decent if you combine them together. We've seen the Gothitelle. Jellicent we've seen. We do have a new Gigalith here with Revenge Cannon, destroying damage for each damage counter on your bench of any Pokemon. So if you can find a way to get damage on your bench, on a play with like Steelix or something, then boom, you got Revenge Cannon hitting pretty hard. Steelix makes sense, right? Because you use Onix, which would work with Revenge Cannon because it's a fighting type Pokemon. We got the new Sock here. Rising Chop, 9 damage. If your opponent's active is not an EX, the attack will do nothing. So you can do 1 for 92 an EX Pokemon, but it doesn't hit for weakness or anything. We've seen Archeops already, which is pretty insane. Minchao is like okay. Tracking we've seen. New Liepard here. Knockoff. 50 discard random card mid. Scraggy has the attack Rascal Attack. 2 Dark Energy does 60 damage. Flip a coin for each Dark Pokemon you have in play to do 60 more damage for each heads. Fill up your entire board with Dark Pokemon with like Area 0, and Rascal Attack could be a fun little meme deck to work. Nothing crazy, obviously. I don't think it'll see competitive play, but as a fun rogue, yeah, not bad at all with Area 0. We got a new Garbodor, which unfortunately, they didn't give us Garbotoxin. This one, they just gave us a very bad Garbodor card that doesn't work or do anything good. Unfortunate. One day, we'll get Garbotoxin back. I thought for sure we were maybe going to get it, but, I mean, I guess we got Trash Lance already, which they gave us on the Tier 2 go. We've seen Zork already, but here we go. We got the new Dino Zilus and the new Hydreigon EX. Yeah, we're getting another Hydreigon EX in the set. This one's got Greedy Eater. If your opponent's active basic Pokemon is knocked out by damage from the attack, you take 1 more prize card. So when this Pokemon knocks out a basic Pokemon, you take an extra prize. It's got the attack Dark Bite. That does require 5 energy, but it does 200 damage. And then during your opponent's next turn, that Pokemon can't retreat. Obviously, the goal of this card is you just want to knock out basics to take extra prizes. You can knock out big basics to take 3 prizes. You can knock out little guys to take 2 prizes. This card is actually kind of interesting. Is it better than the Hydreigon EX we already have? No, but it isn't bad either. And being able to take extra prizes is always good. There will be some, way to maybe manipulate this thing's attack to take those extra prizes. So definitely not bad. Ferrothorn here, Power Whip. 1 metal does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy on this Pokemon. Cool, I guess, but Shaman already exists. Probably not great. We got a new Klinklang, which isn't the one we was expecting, not the Shift Gear one. It's got that Gear Coding ability. Each of your Pokemon with any metal energy on them take 20 less damage from your opponent's attacks. I guess the ability does stack. It doesn't say that it doesn't stack, which is nice, but it's the stage 2. You got to get a lot of these guys into play to reduce damage. So I don't know. Bite Together, we've seen that. New Druddigon here. Unfortunately, isn't anything too crazy. New Watchhog here. Doesn't do much either. New Stoutland here. Odor Sleuth, flip 3 coins. For each head, put a card from discard pile into your hand. Someone can make a control deck. There you go. Stoutland control could be a thing. And then you got Special Fang that does 100 damage. If your opponent, this Pokemon has any special energy on it, you do 100 more damage. So, there you go. We got new Bouffalon TX, which is very similar to the old Bouffalon we had from the Dragon's Exalted set. It's got that Boofer ability. It takes 30 less damage from attacks. So you do have the ability to have 250 HP, alongside pairing it with the 2 other Bouffalons in the format that reduce the damage even more. So you can actually give yourself a pretty tanky Bouffalon here. And then you got the attack Gold Breaker that does 100 damage. If your opponent's active is an EX, you do 100 more damage. So it's very similar to the old Bouffalon we had. Very similar. Same ability and like similar attack too. Not terrible. Again, you can actually make this card kind of beefy with its ability and the other Bouffalon and then Bravery Charm and stuff. So it's not a terrible card whatsoever. Considering how tanky it can be. Got Braviary here, which unfortunately doesn't do much. And then, yeah, here we go. We got a big reprint. Tool Scrapper is getting reprinted. I actually called it. I said that this card might get reprinted, and I called it. Choose up to 2 tools, attach to Pokemon, both yours and your opponent, and then discard them. So, yeah, we got another tool removal card. We only have Jamming Tower in the format and, like, Refian, but now this card is back. So cards like Genesect and Drifloon are going to get a lot worse. This does make the new Air Balloon coming out a little bit weaker, too, obviously, but I think tool removal was kind of necessary to have in the format, in my opinion, so I'm glad to see Tool Scrapper come back. Definitely a much-needed card to return. We got this new card, Brave Langle, which this card is very good. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to, excluding Pokemon in the rule box, do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. So it's like the old Silver Bangle card. This card is very powerful. Making one-price Pokemon hit even harder is always a good thing. This card can be very good with like Typhlosion and stuff. Like so many options for this card. This card is great. One of the best cards actually in the set, in all honesty. This is a great tool card. We have Harley Quinn here. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck. You flip a coin. If heads, draw 5, and your opponent draws 3. If tails, draw 3, and your opponent draws 5. I don't know. It's like fine. There's other cards like Lucian in the format, which I think are just better. And then obviously Iono exists. I don't think Harley Quinn will see much play. we've already seen these cards. Ignition Energy we've seen. I think that was it. Yeah, that's it for the new set. Yeah, that's it. Those are all the cards revealed. It is a mini set, so nothing like honestly insane in this set. Like this set is honestly kind of mediocre, like in terms of competitive viability. There are some interesting cards like the Hydreigon and the Buffalant. Some of the EXs are okay. There are some decent reprints, but overall the set definitely is a lot weaker, I would say, than Destined Rivals. But it is cool nonetheless that we are getting an all black and white set. I'm happy to see that Vanelix and Hydreigon EX. Definitely cool. For sure. But let me know what you thought of these new cards in the comment section below. I'll leave a link to Pokebeach. You want to go check out the cards for yourself. Thanks for watching the video, everybody, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.